But I would rather go and do what I need to do and work at Chipotle after my 22-year career in this industry and refuse to let people feel comfortable in my space to support racism, homophobia, and misogyny.
Karma just hit this TikTok influencer like a ton of bricks, and her tears are absolutely delicious. Up first, this hairstylist turned TikTok influencer is banning Trump supporters from her business and her salon. But these antics are backfiring hilariously. Let's take a look at the first video she posted about this that went viral.
So this is me suffering the consequences of my own actions. I just had a client send her husband into my salon and demand a refund for gift cards pre-purchased because of my stance that if you support a racist, homophobic, misogynist rapist, and you're okay with those things because you supported them, that you are in fact those things. And she was so offended.
Yeah, I kind of understand why she would be offended. For one, you're just throwing around these buzzwords like candy on Halloween because Trump may be a lot of things, but homophobic isn't one of them. He's appointed gay people. Heck, he nominated a gay person to be his treasury secretary. He's pro-gay marriage and even hosted a gay wedding at Mar-a-Lago. So you could arguably call him a lot of things, but that's not one of them. And so it indicates that you're kind of throwing around those pretty serious accusations too loosely, and then also casting aspersions at people who voted for one of only two options in a binary system as if they are all of those things. And that is gross. That is insulting and close-minded to tar everyone who disagrees with you as evil and bigoted in all these different ways and say you don't want them at your store. So yeah, I actually think it's pretty reasonable to request a refund for gift cards that can only be used at your salon because you've said you don't want people like her at your store so they can't use the gift cards. Like, that seems like a perfectly reasonable request.
By that she said that she did not feel comfortable coming to my salon anymore. And he demanded, and I said, I don't give refunds on gift cards, but he was just being rude. And so I didn't want to deal with him anymore. And I didn't want to deal with them anyway, because I knew that whole family were Trump supporters because I've been doing her for 15 years. I've been to her family functions and family events. She's given me gifts over the years. Like, she was a very good client.
So now you just look even worse because you had this woman who was incredibly kind to you, giving you gifts, inviting you to family functions and all sorts of things, a model client who only treated you with kindness and respect, and yet over political differences and your own intolerance, you made her feel totally unwelcome in your store. And guys, this influencer has clarified she does not want Trump supporters in her store. And then refused to refund her gift cards that she couldn't use because of you. Like, you are the villain in this story. I don't know how you uploaded this and thought it was cute or thought it was a good look, but it's not.
And I knew that she was Republican, which I don't have a problem with you being a Republican. I have a problem with you wanting to strip human rights away from people.
Ugh. This is one of the most annoying and exhausting things that these woke types do. They say it's fine that you have different opinions, but just not about human rights. And then they frame all their political opinions as matters of human rights. So you're allowed to disagree with them about maybe like infrastructure policy or something. But if you have any different views on social issues of any kind, or even many economic issues like free healthcare, which they think is a right, then that's beyond the pale of disagreement because you're disagreeing about human rights. It's just an obnoxious oversimplification and a way to try to shut down and delegitimize disagreement while pretending that you still hold space for people to have different views, even though you really don't.
And now it's become evidently clear that Project 2025 was the agenda. And
oh my God, not the Project 2025 thing. Trump has not instituted Project 2025. He's crapped on it over and over again. When he becomes president, he'll probably do some things that are in Project 2025 and many things that aren't. And there'll be many things in it that he'll never pursue. But it was just a list of policy ideas from a conservative think tank that he never endorsed and, in fact, kind of repeatedly mocked and insulted. But yeah, the idea that that's going to be his agenda now that he's president, even though he released his own agenda that's quite different, just is conspiracy theory, blue anon level nonsense. So not only are you treating loyal and generous customers like shit, you're doing so on the basis of conspiracy theories and misinformation. But other than that, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
I will stand up for human rights and suffer those consequences because I will stand up for interracial marriage.
Stop. Interracial marriage? Babe, you need to get a grip. Trump is not going after interracial marriage. It is a Supreme Court precedent, and he doesn't want to. No Trump voters are out here, or maybe you could find one or two in Alabama somewhere, but by and large, Trump supporters are not against interracial marriage. You are detached from reality, Cupcake. Like, this is embarrassing. You can make so many legitimate critiques of Trump, but you're just out here in fantasy land. And yet you're using those false beliefs as justification to mistreat people. That's actually tragic and disgusting.
I will stand up for same-sex marriage. I will stand up for every right of every trans person in this country. I will stand up for the rights of women and being able to decide their own bodily autonomy for themselves. I will stand up for those basic human rights.
Well, so actually, these things are kind of complicated, and reasonable people might disagree with you that children should be allowed to irreversibly medically transition, or that biologically male athletes should be allowed to compete in women's sports, and that doesn't make them bad people or mean they oppose human rights. It's also entirely unclear to me how banning people from your hair salon is going to further or protect any of those goals. It seems like just toxic virtue signaling that will really ultimately hurt you the most and just potentially ruin your own business while accomplishing nothing for your political causes.
And if I lose a client because I stand up for human rights and you are offended, which, by the way, if you're offended that I said that, you might want to do some inner work, because the racism and the homophobia and the misogyny in this country is so deeply ingrained in your subconscious that you are unwilling to understand anything, then I can't understand it for you. So if you want to not be my client anymore because I stand up for human rights, like I said in my video, if the shoe fucking fits, wear it with your whole foot, Cinderella.
Well, she just seems lovely and open-minded, and I can't at all understand why somebody who supports Trump would feel uncomfortable with her having scissors right next to their head and face. My favorite comment on this video was somebody saying, "Thank you. I hope your business flourishes as a warm and welcoming, safe place." To which she replied, "Thank you. I've always strived to be a safe place." You're kidding, right? A safe and welcoming place. As long as you agree with me on every issue under the sun that I've lumped into human rights. Otherwise, it's an incredibly unwelcoming place. Now, our friend here thought she was so stunning and brave, and she got a lot of love on TikTok, but she operates this business, from what I could tell, in northern Idaho, which is not a super blue or liberal area, and so her actions are not going over well, and her business is actually struggling as a result, which honestly just feels like karma to me. She has the right to do this, it's her business, but people are gonna not like it, and you are gonna have to deal with the consequences, which in this case could mean the demise of her business. Take a listen to her follow-up video.
They're dropping like flies. I lost another one of my clients today who clearly was a Trump supporter. And they sent me a message. They never cancel their appointment. They don't have the courage to cancel their appointment. And it's just fucking rude.
I mean, sure, but it is a little rich to complain about people being rude when you declared that everyone who disagrees with you on politics practically is a rapist.
But anyway, she messaged me after I had messaged her, like, hey, I had you down at 3, just making sure you're on your way. I'm making sure you're okay. And she wrote back, Dear Tiffany, spelled my name wrong. I am so sorry that this last election has upset you so much as to elicit the hateful public post you made on TikTok. Not once, but twice. I have really thought highly about you, and your posts have broken my heart. Since you have made it clear how you feel about anyone who doesn't share your opinion, I feel you have left no opinion but for me to move on. I wish you the best, and I am terribly sorry.
Honestly, all right. Sounds like that lady was pretty kind and respectful about it. But yeah, after you went on multiple unhinged tirades attacking everyone who voted for Trump and saying they're not welcome in your store, someone who voted for Trump wasn't going to come and continue to be your client and just be secretive about their views. That seems pretty reasonable. And she actually communicated it in a pretty respectful way, I think. But let's hear what Tiffany has to say about this experience.
So, just continuing to lose clients. And I would rather go work at Chipotle. And I was not lying when I said that I was headed to my Chipotle interview, because I did apply to Chipotle, because I'm not going to ask for a handout, and it's been a rough year. I'm a single mom, and my ex-husband does help me out a lot during this time because I refuse to ask for help. But I would rather go and do what I need to do and work at Chipotle after my 22-year career in this industry and refuse to let people feel comfortable in my space to support racism, homophobia, and misogyny, and a rapist. I would rather go work there than have people feel comfortable in my space with that.
So this is actually tragic. I mean, she destroyed a 22-year-long career as a hairstylist, potentially putting employees and other people in her community out of work, disrupting beneficial, positive relationships she had with clients that were getting hair care they really loved and giving her a living, doing something she enjoys. It seems that she has self-destructed all of that, just lit it all on fire in some vain, pointless political protest that made absolutely no difference whatsoever in terms of actual political outcomes, but has only succeeded to destroy her career and force her to apply for hourly, probably near minimum wage jobs like at Chipotle. That is actually tragic. And also, I think, as she mentioned, she's a single mom, pretty darn irresponsible to do when you have kids to take care of. Jeopardize your income and your business so you can virtue signal on TikTok. Like, that's kind of wild, actually, and not something you should be bragging about. Like, it shows you, oh, I'm some paragon of integrity. I mean, I do give her credit that in her video, she's saying, like, I'm accepting the consequences of my actions, rather than acting like she's not acting like she's being victimized, which I do appreciate, because some people in her situation would make the F all Trump voters video, I don't want them in my store, and then play the victim when people cancel on them and stop coming to their stores. But in her case, at least, I do give her some credit for taking accountability and being like, yes, I accept this outcome. This is what I'm standing up for. And you know what? Kudos to you for standing up for what you believe in that sense, I guess. The problem is just that what you believe is unhinged and not really based in reality and remarkably intolerant, and that you didn't fully think through the consequences of this, I don't think. Or if you did and you decided to do it anyway, you're kind of crazy and irresponsible. But let's see what else she has to say.
And that mentality. So, again, I'm reaping what I sow. I am suffering the consequences of my own actions. But I stand by what I said. I absolutely stand by what I said. And so if you see me working at Chipotle as a business owner and a salon owner of 22 years, say hi. Be kind, because this life is fucking hard.
Anyone else having kind of a hard time taking the be kind advice from somebody who smeared most of her clients as rapists because they disagreed with her. Yikes. I mean, in one sense, this story is just a random individual anecdote that's kind of tragic. But in another sense, and the reason I wanted to share it with you guys and talk to you about it is that I think it's indicative of a broader brain rot that's infecting a lot of people that could tear our society apart. We've really exaggerated and just put people in this alarmist state of fear based on things that are exaggerated or untrue, like her fear mongering about interracial marriage in Project 2025. And then, because of that media propaganda and misinformation that they've absorbed, they're making wildly crazy and irresponsible decisions and immolating their own careers and small businesses. This woman is not the only one. She is one of many people doing this kind of thing and proudly boasting about it on the internet. It's a toxic culture and incentive structure that we've created online where we're rewarding people in the short term with likes and attention and views and dopamine rush for this kind of vapid virtue signaling, but they're not achieving any of their political goals. It's making no difference whatsoever, yet they are causing themselves tremendous economic long-term harm, leaving basically everyone worse off after the TikTok sugar rush of likes that lasts a day before everyone moves on to the next thing fades away. And I also just worry about this balkanization of our society. We've seen this in some Republican spaces as well, where they say like, no liberals, no they thems, whatever in my store. I don't want to live in an America where we have Republican restaurants and Democrat restaurants, where we bring back segregation, but this time it's about party affiliation. Yet with this cancel culture and this increasing demonization and misunderstanding of the people that disagree with us, I really do fear that that might be where our country is headed. But what do you think of this woman's story? Is what's happening to her just karma coming home to roost? Let me know in the comments below, and do hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed while you're at it.